Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about those many different classes.
So the case continues to be taught, in my understanding, in the Leadership and Corporate Accountability course at Harvard, and indeed in many other business schools around the world. But my current role is the director of the Master of Public Policy program at Oxford. And I actually just taught a version of this case last week here in the MPP program. It resonates deeply in part because as public policy leaders who we seek to educate here at the Blavatnik School, the focus is really about what is the role of government in designing the rules and norms around business engagement, not just for businesses operating in your country, but also for businesses from your jurisdiction operating elsewhere. And 3 weeks before that, I taught the case actually in an exec ed program at Oxford's Business School, which was largely executives from the Gulf region. So this was a custom program for executives in that part of the world. And as you can imagine, as Marc said earlier, the case resonates deeply because this is, of course, the issues they're dealing with their clients and with the companies they work for, as to how far ahead can they afford to be. Most of these executives are, in fact, representatives of a global community of individuals who share fairly global values, but they serve customers in deeply local settings. And so the question for them is always, we want to be at the leading edge of change, but to quote Mandela on this, you can't be so far ahead that nobody's following you. And so I think we've given the variety of settings in which we've taught it, it struck me that it's resonated, whether it's business leaders, whether it's exec ed, whether it's the MBA, in part because it's just such a live issue. And I think over the last couple of years, or more than couple now, about 5 years, we've experienced perhaps a slowing pace in globalization. Some would argue we're even experiencing an era of deglobalization. And that has given this case perhaps a new lease of life, because when we first wrote this case 10 years ago, it seemed like the world was on this sort of inevitable march towards a global convergence in values. And that seems much less likely today. And so, in fact, I found over time, over the last 10 years of teaching this case, it's also become somewhat more interesting, because now the question is not that we're eventually going to get there, but we might never get there. So we've got to be especially careful about this gap we're creating between our customers in one country versus another.